Germany has apologized for its role in the slaughter of the Herero and the Nama tribes people in Namibia more than a century ago. For the first time, the massacre has officially been described as a genocide. Germany has agreed to fund projects with over $1.3 billion, projects which include reconstruction and development. Although Namibia's President Hage Geingob welcomed the historic move, Herero paramount chief Vekuii Rukoro dismissed the deal agreed by the two governments as an insult. According to the German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas, the fund is aimed at benefiting the genocide-affected communities. To take this discussion further and to understand the history behind this move by Germany, we are joined via Zoom by Professor Phanuel Kaapama. He is the head of the politics department at the University of Namibia. Prof, good afternoon and thank you so much for making time for us. Let's first take a step back and look at what happened back in 1904 to 1908 that led to the massacre of the Herero as well as the Nama people.
Yes, no, thank you very much. Namibia was declared a German colony in 1884. 20 years after that declaration, the local communities were losing land, and they were also experiencing maltreatment and atrocities that were being committed by colonial soldiers, colonial administrators, traders, and farmers. So during that time, they resisted subjugation to colonial rule, and their resistance triggered a genocide. The height of this genocide is exemplified by the order that was issued, the orders that were issued for the extermination of the Herero and Nama people. Now, from that perspective, one should see the order and what happened under that order, as during that time, the German imperial authority saw that as a permanent solution to the resistance to colonial rule. 80 years after the genocide, Namibia became independent. 30 years after independence, we are seeing a breakthrough on this front, especially the recognition after years of denial, after many years of dallying. Namibia, the Herero and Nama people have made history by forcing, together with their government and with solidarity from other Namibian people, with international solidarity and support, they have made history by forcing Germany to acknowledge that what it did in Namibia was a genocide. And also forcing Germany to apologize, and not only any form of apology, but by insisting on an apology that would be unconditional, that would be equivocal, that would be consummate to the scale and scope of the atrocities, the human rights violation that these communities have endured. The third aspect is the debate around reparation, reconstruction, which I think is the next stage in this engagement, in the sense that Germany has not fully come to the expectations of those that have endured the troubles. You cannot apologize and admit that you have committed a sin and not fully meet the terms and expectations of those who suffered.
Yeah.
So, and that struggle would continue, because if you hear what I said in the beginning, 117 years ago, people resisted colonialism. 80 years later, it was only when independence was achieved. 30 years after independence is when this apology is being made. So Rome was not built in one day.
Yeah.
But I think the course that has been taken provide a solid basis for the struggle to continue on reparation, on full and acceptable reparation.
Then, Prof, what do you make then of the line of history when we look at it, that Germany, for instance, in the late 1940s, was able to acknowledge the genocide of Jewish people in Germany by the Nazi government? But then even though there was a United Nations report on genocide which identified the genocides of the Herero people as well as the Nama people as one of the first genocides that have been experienced in the world, that 1985 report by Mr. Whittaker, even then Germany refused to acknowledge its role in the massacre of the Nama people. But here we are today, though.
Yes. Now, I think you are correct. 1940, Europe, when they fought the Nazis, they were fighting under the banner of freedom, under the banner of human rights. Britain and France, well, they were fighting for the human rights of those that were on continental Europe. Many of them had colonies on the African continent. The atrocities by Belgium in the Congo was continuing. So Africa only reasserted its place with the independence of Ghana in 1957. And Africa is in the process of asserting their place. The report that you are referring to was authored by Benjamin Whittaker, a former Labour Party parliamentarian, an advocate of human rights through the UN system. That was in 1985. Now, we also know fully of the narratives where, say, for instance, Germany disputed that report. And today, Germany did not willingly come to the table. They did not willingly agree with the term that this is genocide. Through the negotiation, it was a battle, and Germany's arm was twisted, and the struggle will continue for the other parts so that Germany can fully acknowledge not only its responsibility, but also fulfill the aspirations and do good on the violence that it has unleashed on our ancestors.
Yep. With the restitution, and when we speak about restorative justice, of course then follows redistribution. And here we are speaking of money that Germany says it will make available, and we can speak of this and think of it in a form of an asset. However, though, the Herero paramount chief not happy with that deal at all, and how then should we understand this journey that Namibia is on in terms of restitution as also redistribution?
Yes, now I think if you look at it this way, you have talked of the 1940s, 1952 to be precise, when Germany agreed to compensate and pay reparation to the Jewish. In terms of that agreement, Germany put on the table $3 billion, which was supposed to run for a period of 13 to 14 years. Almost more than 70 years later, to date, the Jewish has received in excess of 80 billion. So, what lessons can we draw? The amount put on the table by Germany is little. There is no doubt about that. But drawing lessons and parallels with the experience of the Jewish, if we remain focused as Namibians, if we remain focused as Nama and Herero people in solidarity with others, and we continue this track, I think we can better that one. The 80 billion which the Jewish got in 70 years, we may even, if we fight resolutely without compromising, we may even clock that one in 50 or 60 years. So I think the agreement is acknowledged by, among others, diplomats such as Ambassador Arikana of the AU. It's an important milestone, is that through this, the Herero and Nama people and Namibia has not only opened to the door, but they have put the right foot in the door. And from there, they should continue pushing.
Well, Prof, thank you so much for your time. That is Professor Kaapama there, who is the head of politics at the University of, head of the politics department at the University of Namibia. Really appreciate your time.